Hello and welcome. I hope the new year is off to a fantastic start for each of you. I'm Denise, and with me to kick off this year's webinar series is Olena Stepovyk, 32Soft's sensational solutions architect. Also with us is Don Lindsay, our QAD and MRP guru. I will turn things over to Olena momentarily. First, some super quick housekeeping. And now let's transition to today's feature presentation with Olena.
Hello. Our webinars through the years cover both overview of QAD functionality and the solutions we designed for various business processes that you can implement with QAD as your main ERP system. Today, I would like to use an opportunity to show you our solution for distribution orders processing in QAD. I will not be talking about how to set up distribution orders and distribution requirements planning. If you are looking for details on what DRP functionality exists in QAD or how to set it up, we have a very detailed and in-depth overview on our website, created by Don Lindsay, our QAD functionality and supply chain management expert. I will post a link to it in the webinar questions window, and we will include it in our Encore email. You can also go to our website and enter DRP as a keyword in the search window. Today, I will show how you can efficiently use QAD DRP functionality and scale it up or down with a single, simple, and user-friendly tool that we named DO Workbench. If your company has multiple manufacturing and warehousing facilities, it needs to efficiently manage movement of raw materials, components, and finished products between them to ensure its effectiveness. Depending on your company size and structure, your manufacturing type, and supply chain processes, you may utilize existing QAD capabilities in different ways and to different extents. You can set up QAD to automatically track changes in supply and demand and generate signals directing you to perform certain actions. In QAD, the signals are called action messages. You can go even a step further and let QAD generate planned orders for material movement. Or you may choose to manually create distribution orders based on a set of criteria, for example, inventory balances. Regardless of how your internal distribution network is configured in QAD, DO Workbench is a tool that will give your processes efficiency and will lead to overall effectiveness. DO Workbench works as user interface to various QAD functions and helps you identify and manage distribution orders more efficiently, bring balance to supply and demand, and facilitate the timely transfer of the materials between the sites. You can choose if you want to use full QAD DRP capabilities and use DRP replenishment requests to initiate material transfers, or use your internal inventory level criteria to identify inter-site demands and create distribution orders. DO Workbench will also allow you with ease modify and monitor the status of open distribution orders, allocate and perform shipments of distribution orders from the supplying sites, and receive materials to the receiving sites. If you want to use MRP signals to guide you in intersite materials movements, you will need to start with analyzing MRP action messages. You can access messages from DO Workbench. Here are some sample messages you may get. In DO Workbench, you will see a lot more information about the messages than you would see via standard QAD action message browse. The type of action message will give you details about the actions required. There are also details about item number, quantity, required date, site that requested it, and site that will be supplying it. Intersite material movement starts with intersite requests at the demand site. Firmed requests become distribution orders and source of demand for the supplying site. Action message details allow you to see whether intersite requests have been firmed or not. You will have or will not have distribution order associated with the intersite request when it's confirmed. You can use DRP action messages just as a source of information on distributed item supply and demand, or act upon them and turn that information into the distribution orders. There are several different types of messages you may receive from QED DRP run. Create or cancel intersite requests, shipments past due, no source of supplies. All of them will require two main actions: either creation of new intersite or distribution order or changes to the existing ones. In DO Workbench, I can respond to this action by selecting messages and approving it. Let me select a couple. DO Workbench will identify the actions required based on the type of the message and pre-populate DO Update and DO Create tabs with the required information. I can now process data on each tab and complete the approval. And create new orders required. As I mentioned earlier, you may not want or may not be able to plan intersite material transfers based on action messages. A business process may require creation of distribution orders based on other criteria, for example, planning data from outside of QED or inventory levels at the specific location or for a subset of items. DO Workbench allows you to tackle these requirements with high efficiency. When it comes to creating new distribution orders, there is a number of options available. You can download planned intersite requests generated by DRP that do not have distribution orders associated with them yet. You will need to enter requesting and supply insights and click on Download AR. Then you can leave intersite requests that need to be turned into distribution orders, make any required changes, for example, to the quantity, ship date, transport type, and click on Create DO. DO Workbench will create in QED distribution orders for the selected intersite requests. You will also have the ability to automatically follow DO Create with selective MRP run in QED, or you can run selective MRP separately by clicking on Selective MRP button. This will immediately update the relevant details about supply and demand in QED. Distribution orders can be compared to purchase orders. The process of creating distribution order in QED is similar to the process of turning purchase requisition into purchase orders. You can have a single requisition per order or can combine multiple requisition into the same order. If you run distributed supplies planning outside of QED and have, for example, a list of items with quantities and due dates that need to be ordered from the supplying side, you can copy-paste information from the external source into the DO Create tab. Supplying and the ship to site as well as transportation details will need to be added, and clicking on DO Create will generate distribution orders for the requested materials transfers in QED. If you're familiar with DRP functionality in QED, you have noticed we bypassed creation of intersite requests in this case and proceeded straight to distribution orders. However, there are no rules broken here. While intersite requests are typically created at the receiving site first, they are also automatically created when creating distribution order for the shipping site. And Whether you create distribution order via corresponding QED menu or DO Workbench, the process is exactly the same and data integrity is preserved. You can also create distribution orders or request material transfer based on the inventory levels either at the supplying or receiving sites. Criteria of inventory items shown on download may be different for different businesses. In this demo case, inventory download is configured based on the unallocated quantity available on the supplying side. Alternatively, it could be configured to show items that have shortages at the requesting side. You will only need to select items, specify quantities and due dates to create distribution orders. And here's a new distribution order number assigned by QED and the automatically created inter-site requests. Once distribution order is created, it is ready to be allocated and shipped. If you need to make changes to unshipped distribution orders, it can be done in the DO Workbench from the DO Update and Ship tab. You can download the open orders, select those that need to be modified, make the changes, and click on Update DO. When distribution order is created, QED automatically performs general allocation. You will most likely run detailed allocation and shipping processes via QED using shipper per-shippers and integrated barcode scanning functionalities. However, you can also allocate and ship distribution orders via DO Workbench. To show how you can perform detailed allocation, I will download open orders for an item that is load controlled on one of my supplying sites. And for this order, I will allocate a specific lot number. And will refresh the list of my open orders for this item, just to make sure the allocation have been performed the way I wanted it to. When I'm ready to ship the requested quantity, I can enter or verify the quantity to ship and proceed with the shipment. DO shipment will trigger the corresponding function in QED, and shipped items will be taken out of the supplying site inventory and moved to the in-transit site in location. When QED processes shipments against distribution orders, it allows both partial shipment and overshipments. With overshipment, it means that it will allow to ship more than the quantity ordered or confirmed. I'm not sure if this is the intended behavior for distribution orders or an oversight, but if you will need to limit quantity that can be shipped by the quantity ordered, we can add this restriction at the DO Workbench level. At any point of time, status of the open materials requests or distribution orders can be reviewed via dashboard. You can see open and in-transit quantities here, as well as transportation details. Shipped or in-transit quantities can also be viewed via DO Receipt tab. Here you can optionally view the details of the distribution order and record receipt of materials into the requesting site inventory. DO Receipt will execute distribution order receipt function in QED that will record the receipt of DO and transfer received items from in-transit location into the regular location at the receiving site. DO Workbench functions give access to distribution orders functionality only to users who has corresponding access in QED. Usually, users who can review action messages and create or modify distribution orders and intersite requests are different from the users who record shipments and receipts. Multiple users can have and use DO Workbench, but they will have access only to the functionality assigned to them. You may have people in your organization that are responsible for transportation and logistics that do not need and do not have access to DRP or DO functionality in QED. This group of users can still use DO Workbench to obtain detailed information on distribution orders in the view-only mode from the Dashboard tab. They will also be able to update transportation details and comments. I said earlier that DO Workbench is a single, simple, and user-friendly tool for distribution orders management in QED. Within one tool, you can review replenishment requests and inventory levels, create and modify distribution orders, ship them, receive, and monitor their statuses or processing stages. Create, update, receive, and monitor. These are all the steps involved in the whole process. They are clear, easily accessible, and executable. I have shown you our generic version of DO Workbench. As you could see, all distribution order processing screens, create, update, receive, are already much simpler to use and navigate than underlying QED functions. For some of our customers, we have simplified the interface even more to make it easier for end users to work with. Your version of DO Workbench may look like the one you have seen, or with some extra functionality added to process complex material replenishment scenarios, or it may be stripped down to the minimal layout to, for example, only allow retail shops or service centers to monitor their inventory levels and place replenishment orders to the main warehouse. This was a brief overview of the functionality we have in our DO Workbench. I believe this tool allows to simplify the challenging task of DRP planning and efficiently manage distribution orders in QED. If you have any questions, I will be happy to answer them.
Thank you so much, Olena. Excellent as always. We'll move right into the Q&A. That appears to be our last question, so let's take a quick look at upcoming webinars. Next month, Don Lindsay returns to present the nuts and bolts of MRP, and then in March, Don follows up with the ripple effect of everyday QAD changes on MRP. Registration for both is open. Don, since you are here with us, would you like to elaborate a little bit?
Obviously, DRP feeds into MRP, so in February, we're going to be talking about the data, purchase orders, work orders, etc., that make up the MRP data. And then in March, because things always change, we're going to talk about how MRP reacts to changes in inventory, purchase orders, work orders, sales orders, forecast, etc. So today's DRP discussion feeds directly into February and March. So we look forward to your attendance at those two sessions.
Great, thank you. Back to today, and as Olena demonstrated, the exceptional efficiency of DO Workbench. Efficiency is the key to much in the workplace, including to unlocking success in the complex dance of material flow through multiple distribution centers. Thank you, Olena, for your time taken to prepare and share with us all of your expertise. And Don, thank you as well. It's always great to have you on hand. That's all for today, except for a big thank you to each of you for taking the time out to join us live. Have a great day, everybody. Bye-bye.